Now, you may recall a video I did towards the end of last year on Matthew Miller, the over 10-year Fedora project leader who was going to be stepping down come the release of Fedora 42 and doing some sort of handover along the way. Now, I'm sure there were some internal meetings and lists and discussions about who was going to take over the role, but publicly at the time, we didn't have any idea who it was going to be. Now, I'm sure there was speculation, oh, there's this person, there's that person. Fedora has a lot of very active people in the distro community, and it's not like there was any shortage of people that would be qualified for the position. Now, whether they would do good as, someone who's been in the role for over 10 years, that's still, to be seen. But we didn't know who it was going to be. Now, in the early days of the project, Fedora did tend to cycle through people considerably faster, more akin to something like Debian, which, they've had a lot of people over the years, but ever since Matthew's been involved, which was after Fedora 21, it's just been Matthew. For a lot of people, you don't know a Fedora Linux that wasn't led by Matthew Miller. But now you will, as of a few days ago, introducing Fedora project leader Jeff Spilata. Now, this was posted on April 2nd for a good reason. He wanted to actually post it, the new project leader wanted to post it on April 1st, but he wasn't allowed to. He wasn't allowed to because they wanted to, have this be taken seriously as an announcement. Now, if you see him floating around in various projects, oftentimes Jeff Spilata is not going to be what it says. It'll be just J Spilata instead. Either way, this is going to be the new Fedora project leader. Some of you may remember Jeff's passionate voice in the early Fedora community. He got involved all the way back in the days of Fedora.us before Red Hat got involved. Jeff served on the Fedora board from July 2007 through the end of 2008. This was the critical time after Fedora Extras and Fedora Core merged into one Fedora Linux. With the launch of the features process, Fedora became a truly community-led project. Okay, let me just explain that. So prior to the name Fedora Linux, Fedora went by the name Fedora Core. Now, to be truly correct here, technically it stemmed off of Red Hat Linux, so, this is Red Hat Linux, not Red Hat Enterprise Linux, back when RHEL cared a lot more about the desktop and didn't instead, put it to the community-led thing instead. Either way, Fedora Core is named after one of the two repos of the time, the Core repo, the other one being the Features repo. Now, Core contained all of the base packages that were required by the operating system, as well as other packages that were distributed along with the installation CD and DVD, and was maintained only by Red Hat developers. Extras, the secondary repository that had been included since Fedora Core 3, was community maintained and not distributed along with the installation of the CDs and DVDs. So it's not exactly correct to look at it like this, but at the time, Features was more akin to kind of like the AUR, and Core was the Arch main repositories. And then as of Fedora 7, when it became Fedora Linux, not Fedora Core, this distinction was removed. Now what you have in the Fedora of today is Red Hat employees and community members maintain packages within the same repo. Of course, things have changed a little around here since then. The council replaced the board, the features process has changed 2 changes, of course, and a few other things. Jeff has been busy with various day jobs, but has always kept up with Fedora. I'm glad we're now able to let him give his full attention to the next years of Fedora success. Jeff starts full-time at Red Hat in May. Then, after a few weeks for orientation, I'll officially pass the torch at Flock in the beginning of June. Now, over in the Fedora discussion thread, it's mostly just saying, hey, congratulations, hey, welcome to the role, hey, I used to see you back when you were involved in the project a very long time ago, and pretty much everyone here is just being very positive. Now, Jeff did leave a comment on here himself. Hey everybody, I'm so excited to have been selected as the next FPL, the Fedora project leader. To all the old hats in the community, I look forward to catching up with y'all. And to the newer people who haven't met me yet, I'm looking forward to working with you. If you have any questions for me before I officially start, I'm happy to try to answer them here. I'm currently in the process of getting my house in Alaska ready for sale and move across the country later this month. I won't bore you with the details other than to say, never set down a cup of Swiss coffee white paint on the kitchen counter right next to your cup of morning latte. Let's just say, it's a very accurately named shade of white paint. Now, even though he asked for questions if anyone has them, there wasn't a single question in the thread. Literally nobody had any questions for Jeff. It's just nothing but congratulating him, which is nice. But, you know, with someone new coming in as a Fedora project leader, it would make sense to ask them what they're planning to do. Now, I do have one question for Jeff. And maybe it's not for Jeff. Maybe it's more for, like, Matthew and Red Hat, who is hiring Jeff. Why was Jeff chosen for the position? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, Jeff is going to be bad for the position. He's bad choice, anything like that. I'm just really confused why someone who hasn't been directly involved in Fedora for a long time now is the one you went with for the Fedora project leader. He hasn't been someone who is active in the community. Yeah, he might have been paying attention to Fedora and all that sort of stuff, but it's not like, you know, he's a active contributor, actively involved in change proposals, anything like that. It's kind of just like, here is this person who used to be very heavily involved, and now he's kind of just being brought back after 15 years, right? Like, it just seems kind of weird. It doesn't really make any sense as a choice you would initially make. Like, I would get it if Fedora just didn't really have anyone qualified in the community to run the project. That, understandable. Yeah, bring in someone new, bring in someone who hasn't been involved for a long time makes a lot of sense. But we're not talking about, like, OpenSUSE, where they run a board election and nobody wants to fill the role. We're talking about Fedora, which is a very, very active community. Now, in that post from Matt, it mentioned Jeff's been working various other day jobs. So I went and had a look at his LinkedIn to see what those jobs were. If you want to take a look at it for yourself, I'll leave it linked down below. But here are the main takeaways. Most recently, a technical community advocate at Cisco, previously having the exact same position at Insurvalent prior to their acquisition by Cisco. Before that, he was a project manager at Sumo Logic, and before that, a developer advocate at Sensu Inc. Now, it's not like he's been just out of the FOSS world entirely, having no idea what's going on. He has been holding talks at various years of things like Cloud Native Con, and this one right here from a few years, okay, I guess the year prior, along with a talk over at FOSDEM in 2024. So don't get me wrong, none of this is setting off alarm bells that the Fedora project is just going to implode. He seems like he is qualified for the position. This is no Mozilla situation where they just suddenly shift into AI, or a GNOME Foundation situation where I don't even know what they were thinking. I'm just confused why you bring back a really early project member and not someone who's very active today. That's like my only concern. I just don't understand why that's the direction they went. I think for now, we're just going to like wait and see what actually happens. If everything is business as usual, which is probably the way it's going to go, because Matt is still going to be involved as sort of a community advocate, advise. Like, he's going to help out, at least initially, with this role so he gets up to speed, and he's still going to be involved in the community after that. So if there's anything that Jeff needs to know, he can always, ask about that. But hey, I don't know, maybe the project goes up in flames and everything just dies after Matt leaves. Entirely possible. I just don't think that's how it's going to go. I don't know. I do want to reach out to Jeff, bring him on the podcast, and just ask about why he accepted the position, how it came to him, and sort of kind of what's going on here. Also, one more thing, not at all important. If you're really into curling, Jeff will be very happy to talk to you about it. So, yeah. Also, he's on Blue Sky, not on Mastodon, which is very rare to see from people in the FOSS world. And you know what? Maybe this is an unpopular opinion. A nice change. Anyway, if you liked the video, go like the video. If you have any thoughts on Jeff as the project leader, I would love to hear them. If you maybe have any questions for Jeff when I eventually reach out to him and bring him on the podcast, yeah, let me know about those as well. So, if you liked the video, go like the video. If you really like the video and want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, Scribes, Daily Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I've literally never seen a match of curling.